Good evening and जोहार आप सभी को. टुडे आई एम वेरी एक्साइटेड बिकॉज मेरे साथ जो हैं लाइक जर्मनी के बहुत ही फेमस बैंड के जो है म्यूजिशियंस मेरे साथ में हैं. एंड मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि ये लोग जो हैं कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी के स्टूडेंट हैं और रिसेंट में लाइक लास्ट इन द 4 years काफ़ी फेमस हो गए हैं. और मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि यहाँ पे जो हम लोग बात करने वाले हैं like about the music, art, little bit of politics, or like student life, and also the काम जो है work-life balance. So now I'm switching in English. Yeah, so good evening.
Thank you.
And I can't tell you how excited I am to gonna have all of you in a for this interview. And firstly, I would like to congratulate you to all of you. You guys recently, I think, released your 6 songs on Spotify. So many congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
Still, I remember those days, like 3.5 years before, when I came to Erfurt. I think, like you guys used to play in a very small room. I think during that time you were just students, and now your band became very famous. Yeah. But
very famous.
Very famous. But how did you guys decide the name of the band? Like what comes it's a name and yeah. How is it?
It was via phone call.
True.
We were all in Erfurt, so we had a phone call. It was overdue. Like we had to find a name, and we just made proposals and
yeah. I mean, like the sellout thing came pretty quickly, and it was kind of the thing that we found it quite amusing and funny that a lot of artists, as soon as they go popular or mainstream or whatever and start to have success, that their fans are always like, "Oh, you're selling out. You're not staying true to your music." And we always found that kind of concept very amusing. So we thought, yeah, okay, we'll just label ourselves as sellout. So that's probably going to come up. And yeah, the alley thing I think just came up because
of the phone call.
Exactly. Yeah, but also because
our decision process of like 5 hours or something.
Actually,
the idea was it was the street where we all hang out, like the flat of Maxi and Gabriel. It's like kind of our social hotspot. So it kind of originated from that, I think.
And the rehearsal room is right next door, so we spent a lot of time. And the street name ends with Alley, which in English would be alley. So we chose that as a second part of the name.
Los Angeles, yeah, right? Something like that. Yeah. And how did you guys meet? How did it came in your mind you want to make a band or something? It's very interesting for me also.
Okay, so I firstly met Robin and I firstly met we moved in together.
Yeah.
It was like 4 years ago, I guess.
4 years ago, yeah. And we quickly knew that we were on the same page in terms of music. Then I got to know Toby on a party. Then I got to know Maxi on a demonstration. We were firstly we were kind of jamming, the 3 of us. Then later on Maxi joined and withhold the news that Gabriel was his flatmate and also a pianist and didn't tell us about it. So he kind of joined a little later. That's basically it. It's a long story short, but but that's it, I guess. I think
Yes.
Yeah, actually, it started out as a jamming kind of thing, and then after, before Gabriel was part of the band, before we were actually SelloutAlley, because we were a different kind of band back then, I would say. A much worse band.
even worse than now.
You have to imagine.
That's shocking. It's hard to believe, I know.
Yeah, but we were like, yeah, this is vibing. Let's do a concert at your guys' flat. So in Henry's and Robin's flat at the time.
Actually, in Robin's room.
The concert was in Robin's bedroom, and we had 30, 40 or something friends there.
It was a big room actually. So
was it?
Yeah, but still, it was and that was amazing. That was kind of the point where we were like, yeah, okay, we have to work more on this because this could actually be something. And now that there's 5 of us and we're actually writing music together and stuff, I think that worked out quite well.
Yeah.
But like, how did you feel like when you guys like first time performed in front of a lot of people? Like,
the thing is that some of us before we played in a band have had experience with like, I don't know, with making music in front of groups of people, some of us less. And our first concert in this constellation, apart from the concert that you had without me, but that was mainly friends, it was still during COVID, so it was a live stream concert. And then actually the first time that we had a real big crowd, like plus 150, 200 people, was the year after that. And I have to admit, I was buzzing, definitely. That was wild. Like, you know, COVID lockdown, and all of a sudden you have like 200 people in front of you and standing on the stage. But actually, this sounds weird, but it has become more and more normal by time, especially the size of clubs that we're playing in today. That's very good, but I think the larger the crowd gets, like the more our heart still gets pumping.
And I'm still thinking that it's still an exciting part. Like if you're preparing for a gig, it's still like that you're always getting excited for it.
You always get goosebumps.
You're not getting really familiar with that sort of situation because that's just a lot.
And it's a scary feeling, but it's the most wonderful feeling. For me, at least.
I love because like as soon as you get on stage, like you're switching your mindset and you just like need to perform.
And like I attended many performances of you guys. I know many cities, different cities also. So what I have seen like 60-70% or 80% sometimes are like the female or women are like they're crazy for your music. So how do you deal with like this kind of attention when you get?
Like first of all, for me actually that's news. I'm trying to think in my head right now what the audiences looked like the last time because you always see like the big crowd and you can't really focus on single people.
Just
but
higher voices.
I mean, in the beginning we found it a little bit strange and we laughed about it because we were like, no one will remember our name, no one will remember us. We were that random band of students that was playing. And then all of a sudden people actually started recognizing us or our music or anything we do as a band. And when that started, that was actually even scarier than playing in front of crowds. Actually.
It was frightening.
It
was frightening.
And but now, like, I think we're just extremely happy for every feedback that we get because we know we want to do this. Like this is the thing that's giving us the most fun right now in our lives. And if other people are having like at least half as much fun as we are, then we're extremely happy, and it's wonderful to get all that feedback.
Like in the end, the people that are coming to our shows or listening to our music, this is the fuel for our machine, you know? This is why we are doing this stuff, because it's like you cannot even describe the feeling when you're on stage. You have that distance to the crowd sometimes, like not today, but but you usually have this kind of distance that makes you feel like kind of, it sounds stupid, but kind of untouchable. So that you can mess up, but you can like be charming with it and be cool with it. And it's just freaking us all out when people come up to us to talk to us or be like, hey, you are that guy from that band. I don't know. It's cool, but it's also a little bit scary.
For the band dynamics, it's really like because it's just said it's untouchable. Like even if we just gonna have a fuck up on stage, it's still funny because like we're just making fun of ourselves.
This is the point.
And this is like really interesting because like I think like the crowd also really enjoys just seeing us, not like fucking up though, but like still making fun of each other or just like having a good time on stage. Which is also good because like then it just influences the crowd too, and they're having a good time.
This is actually what made what made things scary. That we as a band don't take ourselves too seriously, but then people came up to us and were like, "Hey, you are this guy from this band," and we're like, "Yeah, but how do you know? And what's up with that? We don't matter nothing." And then, "Oh, your music's great," and whatsoever. And we're like, "Okay, I guess."
Regarding this one, I could be wrong, but I have experience in Germany, especially youth. They are not very active on social media. You know, I don't know. I could be wrong, but not.
It depends.
But you guys are not very active on social media. Like recently, you guys like started advertising on on Instagram but how like in the place I come from, like youth are very active on like Instagram and different platform, Facebook.
But I guess it's like social media is the most important platform right now to get your stuff out there.
Yeah.
So if you want to promote your music and what you're doing and to like introduce yourself to a bigger audience more than just like the few local friends you have, then you have to be on social media.
Yeah, right. But generally people are not carrying social media. A lot of people, they don't use, or they use very limited way, or they are like, how do we say it?
I think sort of the point is we're having more and more of like a culture where you see that a lot of people in our generation are like, for their mindset, sometimes social media is harmful because of like all the comparing and a lot of the social pressure that social media has. But
competition,
exactly.
Yeah, but on the same side, of course, social media, like, and why we maybe weren't that active in the past, we weren't trying to reach crowds that far beyond because it just wasn't possible due to COVID. But now, of course, we're trying to reach out farther. But like the social media culture here is rather like, do something every 1 or 2 days, something little, but like we don't try to flood people, and it's still mainly about communicating when we're playing where, because like the social media culture here is a lot. If we would like overload people with too much information, we sometimes fear that the actual important information would fall a little bit short.
True.
Yes. Yeah, how do you manage your like studies, because you are still all of your student, right, at the and performance, and also you guys all of you are working also, like and part-time or mini jobs. So how do you manage like this thing?
I mean, for my part, I have to say, like, luckily I'm finished with a lot of things in my studying. Nonetheless, of course, there is some work to do on that, and I have to work in between. But just given the fact that our rehearsal room is closed, my job is closed, my university is closed, it's all quite manageable in like a small circle. And I would say like university, for me at least, isn't the most time-intensive thing anymore.
What about like Tobias?
You are mean.
Well, it depends, because I'm just saying, like it depends on the priorities you get in your daily routine, but still music or making music is such a big part of our life. So if you're getting passionate about something, you're just trying to integrate that in your daily routine, and especially if you're seeing so much potential after we play together and seeing the process in the last 2 years. So we will, like, I'm still thinking that it's just a really important thing to make some uni stuff, obviously. But still, on the other hand side, if you can follow your passion and you can actually make it to a job for yourself, but it doesn't feel like a job, it's way better than anything you can study. You're not really like, obviously, like, it's your backup plan, it's like security and everything, but you don't want to like, you want to experience things in your life, and especially like making music and just doing a lot of different shit. It's just really beautiful.
It's just you don't make a living out of it if you don't put in any effort. It's like having 3 jobs, to be honest. Like if you're doing university stuff and a mini job and the band, and you'll have, without a management, without like a label that's paying everything for you. There's very much to do.
And especially if you're being on stage, you're just feeling alive.
No, but if you want to make it a living, then you have to put very much into it.
Yeah, but I mean, the big advantage that we have is that we are all pretty much in the same situation. As in, like, we don't have like one who's working full time, one who's a student or whatever. But we all have very similar living realities. Let's just put it like that. And I think all of us have always had to make room for music in their lives. So it's not a new thing for us, thank God. Which is I think why we manage quite well, and we always understand when we're like, I can't rehearse tonight because I've got a big test tomorrow. Then we're like, of course I know that feeling because I've had that before. So that works quite well, I think.
And I think I am also interested in a little bit of politics. So what I have a questions, like, how do you like here in Germany, like especially youth, they select a party or they cast their vote? Like what like comes in your mind, like?
Actually, pretty difficult. Like, for like, at least from what from the young people that I know, I would say, like, you usually have your 1 to 3 to 5 topics that you're interested in and that you care about, and then you try to, like with political affiliations in terms of party or representatives and stuff, you try to find people or parties that represent the same, that have the same focuses as you,
share the same interests,
and exactly, and I have the same opinions on it. So, like, if there were a party that says, well, there is, there might be a few that are like, we don't really care about the environment at all. We don't really have a plan. Then a lot of young people, and I think it's a big priority for young people, are like, yeah, okay, then you're not gonna get our vote. That's just how it works. And I think it's just based on very specific topics and not on a general broad left-right kind of thing. I think it's more of a specific policy thing where you choose what you go with.
I also think especially the political system in Germany, and especially in the past years, how a lot of like old standards have dissolved a little bit. Like it's not in Germany as traditional as it used to be with, oh, you're a social democrat, you're not a social democrat. Like, especially on like the lefter spectrum, you just used to have this development that you have in some other countries that is just like clear which family would sort of belong into what, and that has just been dissolved a lot here, since especially like the left or the liberal spectrum has fractured a lot more than the right spectrum in a lot of ways.
Yeah, totally.
What I have experienced here, like especially the youth, I have seen that like they fight for the policies or like what they are interested in, like something they want. Then they are in India, especially the place I come from. Like what I have experienced, especially our generation's people, they are not very much into the how do we say, like they are not very much into like they choose party very randomly. Like sometimes they are supporting this party, but here in Germany, what find me very interesting, like if you are with the left, then you are going to be with the left. If you are going to the center, then you are going to be center. For sometimes for the whole life. Or I have seen also in the politicians also, because I got a chance to work here in the land talk, so I have seen like the. So that's a very this thing very the fascinating part.
I think that's getting less and less, as Gabriel already said. I think the younger generation is not as is a little bit more flexible with what party or whoever they want to affiliate themselves with. So I think the younger generation would probably also switch a lot over their lives, but. In Germany, you got to remember, like most of the people going voting because of our demographics are just people like over 40, and those are actually the kinds of people that usually decide the votes because they're in the majority, and a lot of them are still very staying where they are. I mean, that's shifting as well as new movements come up, but a lot of them are staying where they are because it's a kind of principle thing. I mean, I guess both things are fine, but you have to regularly reflect on like whether if that's still the right thing for you. I mean, if you're like, this is still the right thing for me, so I'm going to stick with that, then that's awesome. But you got to ask yourself that once in a while.
That's very good.
I think that where Germany is relatively unique compared to other big Western democracies maybe is that we don't have that much a focus on like personal cults. Like this extreme development you could see, like for example in the US in all past years, where it's just like you everything's based around a person. Also in Great Britain, like all these like systems that are like a system with less parties, often there's a lot of focus on like single people, but that's just very, very different and quite unique, I think, here often.
I think I don't quite agree. I think like if you look at the last election of Germany's chancellor, there was a lot going on about persons and personalities. Right. A lot going on in the media, a lot of trash talking, like also depending on the kind of newspaper you're reading. But I think it's definitely, but in the it's not the same as in America, for example, or other countries.
It's not the same, and in the end, voters, I think in Germany, are more likely to still vote for a party, even though they don't 100% agree on the actual candidate. Whereas in the US, you only vote for the person.
We're on the same page. That I totally agree.
You guys, I think you travel a lot. I think recently, you have been to India, and some of you are planning to go to like different countries. You went to, I think, Australia, like some. So what do you like, especially when you like guys compare with the like the global south, youth of global south and from the global north, Germany or all developed countries, then how do you see it? Because in in terms of the privilege or type of you have access like amenities or education.
I mean, here like so many different things play into that. Of course, like it's a huge privilege that we've been, I mean, basically all also indirectly blessed with the wealth that has made us, given us the opportunity to buy this expensive music equipment, to have all this time, which is also due to a privileged economic situation, you know, since we don't need to work as many hours to get by as a student compared to in other countries for sure. And it's also just like, there sometimes is more space. There's a lot of space for like cultural things. There are a lot of things like even this building, for example, or other venues that we've played in, even though they're recently venues for like rock music or something, they've been venues for all kinds of different shows or gatherings of people for a long time. They've partly been built for that for the past 200 or 300 years. I mean, think of like the English books, some of the places we've played in, they're just these buildings that are there that have the space. You have bars and people that want to build up a location, and people have a lot of free time and extra spending for culture.
I sometimes like when I compare, especially when I have conversations, especially like political conversations with people from Germany compared to people in countries that are less privileged, whether they be in the global south or wherever. Your politics get less personal and less focused on your life the more privileged you are, I think, because the more privileged you are, the less you have to worry about your life, because the main priority for young people in Germany when they go voting, when you'd ask them, would probably not be, well, I want to make a living wage and I want to support a family and stuff like that. I think you'd hear that way less than in other countries where it's actually not as much of a given. So I feel like, it would be very beneficial if people in Germany check their privileges a little bit more often. And it would be like, maybe I should have noticed that I'm actually quite well off, let's put it, like globally speaking, of course. But especially like in other countries where there's like, where a lot of youth are unemployed or whatever, like the dynamic of the conversation is just a whole lot different, and it's a whole different conversation to have.
To conclude, there's like a term of emergent adulthood you got, like especially for the privileged countries or like privileged people, like that the part of like just working on yourself and just working on your individuality is just like gets more and more time. So like you've got like normally like a couple of seasons ago you just started working after you finished school and everything, and right now you're just like having a lot of free time after all, and you still need your 20s, for example, to sort out some things for yourself because you got these privileges, and then you can just like go for traveling, just go for Australia, for example, or India.
Also in Germany you always get a second chance, for example, like in your 20s, for example, if you, I don't know, study whatever and you don't get it done, there's a second chance, there's always a way
to have something.
It's not
better.
Not.
I think recently you also traveled to India, right? So, like, what you find something like somehow it helped you in terms of your music or professionally or like spirituality, something like did it help you? Or like,
very interesting question. I mean, definitely, especially because it helped me, of course, generally grow as a person. Also because my closest friend from Germany, his family lives in Kolkata, and I have a house there, and I spend a lot of time with them. So I've just seen how different lives are. I've also had some contact, of course, to like younger people from there through that, and how they just live a different life, often a more stressful life, especially with academics, but also like the whole, compared to here, the overcrowdedness of places, like all that is somehow overwhelming and also inspirational at the same time, of course. And I think like all my thoughts about privilege and so on, like they have strongly evolved in that time. Like the first time I went there was in 2017 and 18, and the second time was in 2020, right before COVID started. And it just, India functions very differently as a society in a lot of things. also actually surprisingly efficient and very different than to how I knew it, and those are experiences they stick with you for a long time.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with me. And then my last question is about like, where do you guys see you after like 5 or 10 years?
Where do we want to be, or where do we think we
Your band, you know, because last in couple of 4 years I have seen like how like graph in terms of, you know, the popularity you guys have received, and you guys become very famous in Erfurt and surrounding cities. Now in 10 years, like 15 years, it's going to be very crucial to all of you. So where do you see like after 5-10 years?
I mean, say still making music.
Yeah.
Of course. And if it works out, it works out. But the music is the important thing, actually.
I think like within the next 5 years, one thing that we have as a goal that I think is semi-realistic would be that we can actually financially support ourselves completely with our music, so that we don't have to work anything else. So that can be our main thing that we do professionally. That would be amazing if in 5 years' time that's the case. I'd already be really, really happy, and I think that's kind of realistic.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And we also know like that we're just like going to move to different cities and everything, but we still need to try to just keep in contact, just making music together and everything. This is probably the most difficult thing in the future to do so.
Within the next 5 years, tour of Germany. Of at least Germany. At least. That's going to be the goal now.
It's all part of the process. It's all part of the process.
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you very much for your time and
Thanks
for
for having
agreeing
us.
for the
Thank you.
interview. And because I have not planned, you know, the questions like this, it came on my mind and just asked you.
It was very
And I hope like you guys, you know, perform one day at my place, the place I come from. So
we would actually love that. Yeah.
Our first concert in Asia. Let's plan for that.
Definitely. Definitely. Like people are I know that the way you guys perform the music, like people would be like crazy, you know, the way you have the passion, and oh my god, like I have seen.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for the kind words.
Give us a call, right?
I am the biggest fan of your like band, you know.
Just give us a call.
Definitely, I will. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Thank you very much for your.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
सो मेरे युवा साथियों, आज मैं बहुत ही एक्साइटेड हूँ क्योंकि आज मैं वाईमार शहर में आया हूँ अटेंड करने का कंसर्ट जो मेरे दोस्त जिनका मैंने इंटरव्यू लिया SelloutAlley, जो दे आर गोइंग टू परफॉर्म नाउ. आप देख सकते हैं लॉट ऑफ पीपल लाइक मेरे कैंप लाइक लोग आ रहे हैं. है आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि जो देखा ये एक ग्रुप एक छोटा सा इनिशिएटिव है. लड़के जो होते हैं ना कॉलेज के जो होते हैं 4-5 लड़के जो होते हैं आते हैं और मिलते हैं कॉलेज पे पढ़ाई के दौरान और बिकम वेरी फेमस. और इसकी सबसे अच्छी बात है कि मैं इनको 4 साल से जानता हूँ. जब मैं आया था उस समय मेरी इनके साथ दोस्ती हुई और मैं देख सकता हूँ कि कैसे इनके बीच में ना गजब की इनकी जो स्पाइक आई, इनकी जो है ग्रोथ जो है बिकम फेमस, वेरी फेमस. आज इनकी शोज जो होते हैं अलग अलग शहरों में होते हैं, लाइक अलग अलग शहरों पे लोग इनको परफॉर्म करने के लिए बुला रहे हैं. आज इस क्लब में आए हुए हैं परफॉर्म करने के लिए. लोग इनके जो है ना बाई कर रहे हैं, टिकट खरीद रहे हैं इनके परफॉर्मेंस के लिए. तो मेरा बोलने का मतलब ये है कि ये जो वीडियो का होल आइडिया जो था, मेरा जो कॉन्सेप्ट जो था कि मेरे को बताना था आप लोगों से, मेरे स्पेशली युवा जो दोस्त हैं मेरे, यार देखो जीवन में जो है ना जो स्पेशली जो जिस समाज में मैं बड़ा हुआ हूँ, जो है मेरे झारखंड के जिस समाज में मैं पला बड़ा हूँ, तो हम लोग ना जीवन अपने लाइफ में ना मैं देखता हूँ ऐसे कि पढ़ाई को ना बहुत ज़्यादा यार एकदम इम्फेसाइज करते हैं, एकदम प्रोटाइज करते हैं कि हाँ मैं मानता हूँ कि पढ़ाई ज़रूरी है. ऐसा नहीं बोलता हूँ कि पढ़ाई ज़रूरी नहीं है, पढ़ाई ज़रूरी है. मैं बहुत ही हम्बल बैकग्राउंड फैमिली से आता हूँ, तो हम लोग को गरीबी से निकलने के लिए पढ़ाई चाहिए. लेकिन यार क्या बताऊँ मैं, मतलब कि उसमें हम लोग इतना इंडल्ज हो जाते हैं लाइफ में कि भूल जाते हैं कि पढ़ाई के अलावा भी दुनिया है. तो ये जो यूरोपियन लड़के यूथ है, ये जो मैंने जो देखा, जो एक्सपीरियंस किया और मेरे इंटरव्यू में आप लोगों ने देखा कि पढ़ाई इनके जीवन पे एक सीमित रोल प्ले करता है. पढ़ाई की लाइक बियॉन्ड भी ज़िंदगी है, लाइफ है. मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि हमारे जो समाज में जो होता है सुसाइड का केसेस होता है, क्यों होता है? आपने कभी सोचा है इसके बारे में? यार होने का कारण है कि हम लोग, फिर से मैं वही बात बताने वाला हूँ कि पढ़ाई के अलावा निकल नहीं पाते हैं. तो मैंने जो अपने ज़माने में मिस किया कि मैं भी बहुत पढ़ाई में डल था, वो नहीं चाहता हूँ कि मेरे दोस्त जो हैं, जो भी पढ़ रहे हैं, जो बड़े हो रहे हैं, वो मिस करें। आप यार किसी चीज़ में फॉलो करते हो, आपका जो पैसन है, मोटिवेशंस है, आर्ट हो गया, म्यूजिक हो गया, ड्राइंग हो गया, यार कोई भी चीज़ में यार, साइकिलिंग हो गया, जो भी चीज़ हो गया, जिसमें भी आपको इंटरेस्ट है उसमें आप फॉलो करो जो है, और उसमें एकदम उसमें काम करो, अपने पैसन को फॉलो करो। दैट्स द होल आइडिया था मेरा जो है सो। और मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आपको जो है सो ओवरऑल जो है इंटरव्यू पसंद आएगा। और देखते हैं, अभी मज़े करते हैं क्योंकि आज वीकेंड का नाइट है और लाइक बहुत सारे लोग आए हुए हैं, तो आज फ्राइडे नाइट है, पार्टी वाली नाइट है। और मिलते हैं आपसे जो है जल्दी में अगले वीडियो में। थैंक यू, शुक्रिया।